right? But of course other people were, were shortening that asset, right? And as a matter of fact, it might have been Dick Gregory, the first one to say that. But so it's necessary for us to gain a level of stillness, and I've found some of that work in Eckhart Tolle's stuff, The Power of Now, and stuff like that. So he talks about finding the mind's own stillness, and when I can get people to slow down, calm down, learn how to breathe, and start to focus on the center of the power within them, and start to get used to, people tell you to count to 10 or 12 before you do something rash, right? The reason I tell people to count to 10 backwards, because you got to think about that. The reason they tell you that is because if you will do that slowly while you're breathing, your brainwave frequency will go from beta to alpha. In other words, you will make a more lucid decision by simply counting to 10 backwards. So I teach people that the closer you get down to the alpha theta border, the closer you get to being able to reprogram your subconscious mind so that you don't have those limiting beliefs stop you from going after dreams that you've never accomplished before, but you see them in your mind. I believe the subconscious mind is like a 3D printer for your future success, your future destiny. And let me tell you something else. I found out you not only have to forgive people, it is necessary, and this is hard. This ain't easy, but it's necessary. You have to forgive situations and circumstances just like people, because some situations and circumstances block us from getting our good because we stand there and judge the situation. We've got to evolve even beyond that, because I believe that humans are unlimited, And the master teacher, or one of the master teachers, Yeshua, the Christ, said, the works that I do show you doing greater works. These are the kind of leaders that you have to have all over the community. You can't have leaders talking about, hey, I'm the greatest, pay me, I'll save your soul. You got to have people who are telling people, hey, I am really, really awesome, and you can be more awesome with my help and with my support. So we've got to learn how to build people, and that's what I've concentrated on 30 years, finding out ways to help teach people how to rebuild their own self-concept so that they can become realized person. And I tell these young people, I said, when Muhammad Ali walked out on the stage, he didn't say, am I the greatest? He said, I am the greatest. He told the Matrix who he was, right? And he let them know who he was. And I said, even in the ancient scriptures, when they encountered the concept of God, God didn't say, they said, who am I talking to? God didn't say, am I? God said, I am, right? So whenever we get to a point where we start telling the environment who we are, then we can become in charge of our lives.
So just out of curiosity, because this has come up in the conversation I had with another friend, when we come up on a conversation on this, is how do you deal with folks that want to use, because you have alluded to it a couple times, being a spiritual person, how do you deal with folks that want to use spirituality and particularly religion as a dividing point? Because they want to claim that, it's their way or the highway. That you can't.
Well, the thing is I talk about Jesus a lot, and I observe his life a lot, and I point out to people that Jesus didn't hang out in churches, and he didn't when he got ready to pray and meditate, he very rarely did he ever pray in public. Only time he prayed in public when he was given instructions on how to pray. That's the only time he ever prayed in public. Most of the time he went to a quiet place to find his center. He went to the garden, to the desert, to the mountain, right, and down by the ocean. And so congregations and things like that are useful in a community kind of way. But when you're talking about tapping your full level of spirituality, that is a lonely journey. That's a lonely journey. You've got to you actually sometimes you have to back away from your friends even for a minute, and you have to turn the TV off. I'd love to do a poem for you guys about the subliminal criminal that I call the television. When my first wife and I were raising our kids, we had the TV in the garage, and we would do a ceremony every time we brought the TV in to watch a show. It was like they were going to the movies or something, And then after the show was over, we take the TV and put it in a box and take it back out to the garage, right? And now I got 4 brilliant kids. They're adults and they're brilliant, because we let them mature without this subliminal criminal raising them. We can't let television raise our young people, and we just have to find ways to develop them in humane and loving ways.
Yeah, definitely. Why don't you go ahead and drop that point for us? And Dean, I've got to plan a quick errand while he drops the point, but I will be right back in about 2 minutes. But drop the point for us.
This poem is a little longer than 2 minutes, but that's all right. It goes, Mock Wars. Are you ready? Okay, Mock Wars. Fought by little boys swinging chains of thought in the empty boxcars of my train of thought. My third eye was on the blink, but I think I saw it wink. Expressions were set like braces. We did a dash for the cash. There was a scream on some racist faces for some brother left lying there mashed on the track, and someone said, the ego is back. As the former terror, firmer farmer, defects to the city, driven by his karma and the horror of his aura, blinded by the flashes from the past, but evolution is the only revolution that lasts. Evolution is the only revolution that lasts. And then my 4-year-old, she turns to me in a child's rich simplicity. She says, Dad, you sure are heavy. But what she means is that I'm strong and that I'll resist the wrong, and it won't be long before I'm able to deal with my petty lower self, that deformed elf from off the astral shelf, hidden in the closet of one of our 7 houses. You see, we are all novelties, obviously. But why must we be for sale, and where can you go to be sure that you know, except deep inside? There's no place else to hide from the mile-high, wide tide of tired lives as all of our decisions flow from our televisions. As all of our decisions flow from our televisions, that subliminal criminal, it silently schemes. His sermon is terminal. His targets your dreams, got you floating in limbo. You've chosen to leave, but you don't let them know, if you know what I mean. The subliminal criminal will kill off your kids and fill them with chemicals, so cells pyramid. He's so subliminal. Your television is a criminal. As the contents of our supermarkets kill the mice in the labs of natives, raiders, and we sit in judgment on one child's behavior, not knowing that what you eat is what you are by far. You see, we are all novelties, obviously, but why must we be for sale? And that can be found on YouTube, William D. Burton live at the Black Cat Cafe. And you'll see there's a video of me doing that piece of poetry live.
Wow, that was deep. Nice. That was definitely, I got most of that back, and I definitely can understand what you're saying about TV. I was just wondering, as we're talking about different things and we talk about all kinds of things on this show and everything, what your view is of our current education system.
We have let our education of our children be placed in somebody else's hands. And let me tell you, and some of the teachers really mean well, but the people controlling the system don't mean our children that well, So the teachers are not the culprit. It's the people pulling the purse strings and the people choosing the academics, and we're just not. It's like we've forgotten how to prepare people for life, and so I run into so many young people who they're prepared to be worker bees, right? But they're not prepared to make Black history. And I sometimes think that that's intentional, because we invented everything. This is my personal concept, is that Black Wall Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street, Durham. By the way, I am the only living or dead former national director of the Black Wall Street Journal. We produced a paper. Like my ancestors came from Tulsa in Oklahoma, and you guys know that Trail of Tears was 40% freed slaves, right? Up until they drove up into Oklahoma, and then the indigenous American Indians and the black folks started trading together and created wealth. And this wealth, the center of that town, Tulsa, was Greenwood at Pine, right? And the theory goes that the Gap Band, G-A-P, band, was named after that intersection. And You Dropped a Bomb on Me, Baby was supposed to basically be about them dropping the bomb on Black Wall Street in Tulsa when we had 10 millionaire families. 3 of them had airplanes in 1927, I think it was, and all of them had cars. And they were thriving up there. They discovered oil and was selling it to third world countries. And then the United States decided, we made a mistake. They're making so much money. We got to make them a state so we can tax them. So then they came in and killed a bunch of the wealthy African Americans and took the place over themselves. The National Guard. The way I hear, go on YouTube. You'll see. They got film about this. National Guard and the Ku Klux Klan. So we have always invented stuff, and if you'll notice, how many songwriters do we have now? When in the '60s, everybody was a songwriter, right? And now you see, you go to these clubs and they want to hear cover tunes. Nobody wants to hear a songwriter. It's like they're trying to squelch down the creativity wherever they can find it. So our kids need. They need someone who understands the kind of nurturing. 1 to 6, they're only in 2 brainwave frequencies. Those brainwave frequencies are delta and theta brainwave frequencies from 1 to 6. And so they don't learn anything from 1 to 6. They download information. That's why a 4 or 5-year-old can be speaking 3 languages in the house, and nobody ever gave him any lessons on how to speak Spanish or English or Russian or whatever he's speaking. Because in those brainwave frequencies, you don't learn stuff, you download it. So when I learned how to play guitar, I had to, the master teacher said, lest you become as a little child, you shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. And I think that's where this whole thing is going, is we've got to come back to a place to center ourselves in our purest part of our being, right? And become creative like little children and recreate ourselves and recreate our community, because we are a very creative person. I was talking about a white supremacist the other day, and I was saying how a person could sit in Duke Chapel and feel superior to the man who created Duke Chapel. That's unfathomable to me. My wife sat in Duke Chapel in the quiet, empty. It was empty, and tears came to her eyes because of the beauty of that this black man had designed. So we just got to know who we are, and then, like Muhammad Ali, we got to show who we are, because we created the pyramids. Come on.
Yeah, definitely created those pyramids and created a lot of other great things. And like you said, we've been forefront of a lot of inventions. I mean, Chuck, we've even had a major part of the design of even Washington, D.C. was by an African American.
Yeah, definitely.
So definitely we have to we have to understand our history, and I was saying we have to understand our history, and too often we don't understand our history. And speaking of history, I was just wondering, when you were in the San Francisco, Oakland area, that would probably been around the same time as the Black Panthers been around. So I was wondering if you ever had any dealings with them.
Man, I used to try to tell those guys, why are you wearing those berets and those jackets and standing out? I said,